people there, internet, Mogwai here, and I got another Legends of Runeterra video for you guys today. Just got back, and I'm 49 minutes late to the party. Regardless, we're gonna be reacting to Diana, or Diana? Yeah, English we go. It's probably Diana. Diana is the new champion. I assume she's gonna be from Targon. I did see her in the cinematic alongside Leona. Definitely one of the champions that we were expecting to be released with this expansion. And that's basically all I gotta say. I took a look at the cards from yesterday. I will be talking about them in today's video as well. I got quite a bit to say, specifically about the one drop. But before we get into that, let's just watch this video and see what Diana is all about. Now, I'm gonna take a different approach this time around. Instead of pausing the video and waiting to read the card, I'm actually just gonna watch the video in its entirety. And then I'm going to try to absorb all the information, you know, just do it a little bit differently, I guess. Because I'm very, like, I need to, like, read. I prefer reading the cards instead of, like, seeing them do stuff. I guess I'm just weird, but I'm going to switch it up a little bit this time around, and we'll see where that takes us. Just making sure that I'm recording, because, you know, I can only do this once. Well, yeah, before it stops being, like, a legitimate reaction, I guess. All right, we're good. So let's do this. Oh, yeah. That's the one drop. No, never mind. She's looking nice.
Each act of heresy is an act of passion.
Two drop. Oh. She has Nightfall. I can see he's using that.
Find your own light within the
Challenger and quick attack.
Yours is the light I cherish, Queen Sister.
Wow.
Unseen, unheard.
The new moon conceals you from our foes.
Okay, so same level of requirement as Leona. Alright, I'm ready.
Find
Mom
your
Spaghetti.
path in the dark.
Show me.
And follow no false light.
That's pretty sick. When you act now whenever the moon rises.
The truth protects our cause.
A deadly assassin. Oh, I'm gonna have to read this card because I am confused. But she looks very, very good.
Come into the daylight, Diana. Daylight blinds, but night renews.
Can't practice. Okay. Now let me actually read the card. I tried it your way, but honestly, it's very hard to like. I mean, you see the card doing things, right? But she drew a card as well when she leveled up. Let's actually take a look at the card itself. Before I mean, if I can actually see it, I don't think I can. Like, they don't ever like show.
Own the dark.
Cherish.
Alright. Nightfall, or when you activate another Nightfall, give me +2 attack and Challenger this round. Alright, so I assume her Nightfall. Okay, I mean, let's stop speculating. Let's actually go over to Twitter. Or, oh, whoa, we just got it there. Easy. Okay, so he's a 2-mana 2/2 with quick attack. Nightfall, give me Challenger this round. And you've activated Nightfall 4+ times, and then she has the ability of getting +2 attack and Challenger as well. Combining quick attack with Challenger is extremely powerful. I've actually designed decks around this with Sonic Wave. I love using Sonic Wave with Draven. It is a very powerful combination for the simple reason that you're able to challenge whatever unit and you strike first. So you're able to like eliminate opposing units for free, netting you card advantage, right? And having these two abilities paired onto a 2-drop despite her low stat line, I think it is definitely justified. Diana looks pretty damn decent in the right deck, of course. With proper Nightfall support, she's very cheap to play. And like I said, quick attack and challenge, just that's such a menacing, absolutely menacing keyword combination right here. When she levels up, she's basically just getting the stat line and getting +2 attack, which is very, very relevant considering you are combining quick attack with challenger. So the attack is basically the stat that matters the most. Naturally, we see her signature spell here, Pale Cascade, which has no rarity there. I'm not sure if like that's just because they're showing the version of Diana. I'm not sure about that. Regardless, it's a 2-mana burst spell that says give an ally +2/+1 this round. And Nightfall, draw 1. So that's where we drew from. Like, that's where, well, they drew from in the video, right? So, that's really good. Pale Cascade is actually pretty insane. It's actually really fucking good. And aggressive decks specifically. Like, you're getting potential damage. Because, like, just compare this to, like, a transfusion, right? All you need is to, like, trigger the Nightfall somehow, and you have a transfusion that's slightly weaker. No, generally the same amount of stats because you're not paying anything, and you're drawing a card. You're replacing this card. This card is bonkers. This card is actually bonkers. Like, Pale Cascade is top tier, without a doubt. If Nightfall is a thing, Pale Cascade is included in the deck, I feel. Like, I don't see how it couldn't. Like, the fact that it's just a cheap, like, strong boost that replaces itself, like, that's, you can't ask more out of a combat trick, really. So, nutty card. Sickness, the Moonstalker, 6 mana, 4/2, very, very understated. With Nightfall, give me and an ally elusive this round. So we're seeing some elusive, like, not only the 2-drop that we saw from yesterday, which we'll be talking about in a bit, but also, like, a 6-drop on top of that. So we may see some actual elusive support in Targon as a whole. I don't know how I feel about Sickness. I mean, it is a pretty powerful entry effect. The problem is you need to trigger the Nightfall, and she's so understated. But I mean, to be fair, the bird, the Crackling, I think, or the Drakling, like the 7-drop from Ionia, does have a much more powerful effect, even though the stat line is technically weaker or the same. I'm not exactly sure. I think it's the same, potentially. Regardless, it's a very more potent effect, but it is for 1 more mana. I just don't know how good this card is in a vacuum. I may be underestimated, but I'm not really... I mean, this has the makings of a very potent finisher in the right deck. So, I'm not going to say this card is bad by any means, because having elusive and granting elusive to whatever you want, that's just a very, very powerful effect. Even though we have cheaper ways to enable that, this is granting you a body and a second attacker, so it's a great finisher. It's a killing play. It's basically to end the game, right? And she could be legit. Not sure. She's expensive though, and very understated, but don't sleep on this card. This card could actually be pretty damn decent. Hush says, silence a unit this round, create a fleeting hush in hand. Kind of like similar way or similar function as to the Noxian Guillotine and also Vi's signature spell. More so related with Vi's signature spell because they share the same speed. Because Noxian Guillotine, even though you create multiple copies of it, you can't like spam them in the combat phase because it's a fast speed spell, so it needs to resolve first, right? But because it resolves at burst speed, you can play how many hushes you want in a row without passing over initiative to the opponent. And that's actually very relevant because this becomes a reliable reactive source for an open attack, for example, and you can have multiple targets to hit down with this. So this is a pretty neat card. I'm not sure if it's going to be too expensive though, because 3 mana for just like the question is how valuable is a silencing effect, especially when it's a temporary silence, right? If it was a permanent silence, this card would be broken, I think. But a temporary silence that you're paying 3 mana for means that you require, most of the time, you're going to require another big play to remove that card. Otherwise, it's going to get the ability back again. So, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to think about Hush. It could be a really reliable tool in control decks for sure. It's definitely a very, very interesting card. And it could be really, really strong. But the temporary effect is what really sets me back on evaluating it. And I have to test it. Like, I can't really give you a good assessment on it without like experimenting with it, but it's a very, very cool design, and I'm very, very like, I really like the fact that they made a card like this. And they're incorporating silence more and more into with this expansion. I think that's a very, very nice keyword to have into the game. And Poro Cannon from Piltover and Zon. To play, discard 1, create 2 Daring Poros in hand. Oh my god. This card is hilarious. This card is so random. It's so out of place here. What the fuck? It has nothing to do with any of this. I love the art too. I'm just gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. There we go. English. Call me simple, but I love the art. Yeah, I don't really know what to say about this. Does this even make this actually could make sense in like a discard deck, like a Piltover Noxus discard or Piltover Targon discard deck. It gives you a bunch of like you can use Poro Cannon on like a Flame Chomper and create 2 1/1s that you can potentially discard later down the line. Like I'm not sure if that's actually valuable, but maybe there's a deck for this card, like because. It comes off kind of memey, right? But 0 mana burst speed spells, especially when they're generating, even though this is technically not generating value, but it's an interesting card. I think there's more to this than meets the eye, and of course I refer to, you know, the booty. There's more to the booty, and I'm gonna leave it at that. So very interesting cards. Let's actually look at the ones that were mentioned yesterday because I haven't gone over them yet. I did tweet about one of them, because I think it's incredibly powerful and pretty much an auto-included Nightfall decks, period. And that is the first card that appears here, the Lunari Dustbringer, a 1-drop, 1 mana 2/1 that says when I'm summoned, create a Dusk Petal Dust in hand. What is a Dusk Petal Dust? Well, it's a 1 mana burst speed spell that says the next unit with Nightfall you play this round cost 1 less. So the reason why I think this card is going to be perhaps one of the most played 1-drops in the game is because it is, first of all, an auto-include for any Nightfall strategy, because I believe in Nightfall decks, because of the way the Nightfall mechanic works, you need to play something before you play the card with Nightfall, right? Which means you need a cheap play to, what's the term here? To lead off with? Yeah, to lead off the Nightfall play with, right? So Lunari Dustbringer is a 1-drop, and I think 1-drops are going to become very vital for Nightfall archetypes because of this reason. But Lunari Dustbringer is not only enabling Nightfall herself, she's technically giving you 2 Nightfall enablers in one, right? Because of her and the Dust Petal Dust that we get later down the line. And the thing about the Dust Petal Dust on top of that is that if we're applying this onto a Nightfall unit, we can inherently ramp with our spell mana onto a unit. So we can drop a 5-drop when we only have 4, when it's turn 4. And we can do that with this card by using up one of our spell mana. And that has huge implications. Like being able to cheat out a unit, like a strong unit, 1 turn earlier, goes a long way in Legends of Runeterra. And this could be really powerful. Of course, thankfully, it is limited to Nightfall units. Because if this card was not limited to that, this card would be ridiculous, right? So they can balance this considering it's only affecting Nightfall units, but this card is super valuable for the Nightfall archetype, and the fact that we get a 1-drop on a that gives you that and a 2/1 body on top of that is just like, you can't ask more out of a 1-drop. You actually cannot. Like, this is just so much value, but it doesn't even end there. You can play Lunari Dustbringer outside of Nightfall decks. Why? Well, you can play it, for example, in a discard mid-range list, similar to the one that I showcased a while back with Arena Bookie. The fact that this card generates you a card in hand goes a long way. There's a lot of things you can do. You can enable Rummage, for example, card cycling. Just creating cantrips is always neat. And compare this card to the, is it the Clump of Wumps? Yeah, the Clump of Wumps, the 2-drop. The 2 mana 2/2. For 1 more mana, you're getting 1 more health, and you're getting like the same type of spell, right? And you can argue that the other one can be more useful. So this card is just like really good. It's hyper efficient, and I predict Lunari Dustbringer will become one of the most played 1-drops in the game. I think this is gonna be one of the best 1-drops in the game considering the current pool that we have, and there is just no doubt in my mind that's gonna be the case. This is a crazy good card that's flexible and that just does so much more than like 99% of the 1-drops in the card pool in Legends of Runeterra. So yeah, Lunari Dustbringer, very good, potentially even OP. Let's move on to another card. A lot of people have been speaking about the Lunari Stalker. This is an elusive unit for 2 mana, 2/3. with Nightfall, grant me elusive. People are freaking out a little bit about this card. I think people are going a little bit too... I think people see the word elusive and they just start losing their minds and overreacting, in my opinion. I think this is a fine card. A very neat comparison is to the Golden Narwhal, the 2-mana 2/3 with elusive and vulnerable, which happens to be a very decent card in elusive decks. There are some decks that are running the card, and it's a pretty powerful 2-drop, but it's nothing too crazy. This Nightfall requires you to play this alongside something else the same turn you drop it. And this will only be extremely powerful in a dedicated elusive deck. Otherwise, having a mid-range deck with a bunch of different cards and some Lunari Stalkers, you're not really going to be breaking the game with that, right? Like, elusives only really get out of hand when you pack in a bunch of them together. And the entire strategy just revolves around elusive, and your opponent can't really block anything that you attack. That's when elusives become extremely strong. So, the question is, will the rest of Targon support elusives more than other regions currently do? And I mean, we did see another elusive enabler, that's for sure, but it is a unit that I wouldn't even run in an elusive deck because it's giving elusive to another unit. And in an elusive deck, you're mostly just running elusive units to begin with, right? So I'm not sold on Targon elusives. I think people are freaking out and overrating the hell out of this card. It's a fine card, it's a fine 2-drop, but it's not game-changing in any shape or form. As we continue to go onto the Crescent Guardian, which, you know, a very straightforward comparison for this card is the Iron Ballista, which has one more attack than this. It's a 3-mana 3/3 with Overwhelm. If you enable the Nightfall, it does have one more attack than Iron Ballista. Iron Ballista is already a pretty crazy 3-drop to begin with. Pretty underrated as well. Like, people don't realize just how good it is for the most part. So this is a very decent card. The question is, will it be like worth running in a Nightfall deck? Probably, honestly. Like a 3-mana 5/3 with Overwhelm. If your Nightfall deck is based on aggression, I don't see how you don't play this, to be honest. It's just, what more do you want out of a Nightfall 3-drop, really? It's a 5-attack Overwhelm drop at 3. That's just way too valuable, and especially because you can enable this thing. Like, imagine if you lead off, like... It's very well designed, though, the Lunari Dustbringer as well, because you're paying 1 mana, right? So on turn 2, you can't actually use the mana to ramp into the 3-drop here in the Crescent Guardian. But what you can do is you can combine this with another, like, for example, in turn 4, you could potentially drop the Dust Petal Dusk, and then you can play Shade Stalker into Crescent Guardian, and you have quite a bit of tempo going on there, as you have a 5/3 with Overwhelm and a 2/3 with Elusive, both dropped on turn 4, and that's just very, very high up there when it comes to average, you know, tempo plays at that stage of the game. So I think Crescent Guardian is actually very damn nice, and we'll potentially see a lot of play in Nightfall decks. And that's basically what I gotta say about these. Out of all these, though, Lunari Dustbringer is definitely the big bomb. Which is weird since it is just a mere 1-drop, but I just think we have very few 1-drops that are just as flexible and as good as this, and I'm happy. I'm very happy for this design, first of all, but I'm just as happy that this design is not a regular thing, that this is not the standard power level for 1-drops, because otherwise the game would be way more fast-paced, in my opinion. So I'm glad that Lunari Dustbringer is kind of like a... you know, a unique case, right? And hopefully it stays somewhat that way. So that's basically it with those cards. Diana, I'm still having a little bit of difficulty evaluating, I'm not gonna lie, because the 2 health, she's very, very easy to remove. As a 2-drop, having 2 health is quite the setback, for sure. But it's not like the end of the world. Like, you also play cards like Lucian, and you're sacrificing 1 attack for the ability to gain Challenger that round. And like I said, Challenger with Quick Attack is just so damn good. Like, I see Diana being a staple for most Nightfall decks, really. Like, I just think she's that good. She's a cheap play, which Nightfall really likes as well. And she's also very easy to level up, which is very important. And her signature spell is also the tits. So, not much bad to say about this. Like, really, you know, strong package of cards, honestly, and some really interesting shit with Hush as well. And we get the booty, the Poro booty on top of that, which just makes it perfect in my opinion. So, yeah, I'm excited for Diana. I expect big things from her. What do you guys think? Do you agree with that, what I have to say? Is there anything that you see differently? What do you want to pair Diana for? I mean, we've seen Diana with Shadow Isles, which I think makes a lot of sense since there's a lot of Nightfall support there. But maybe there are other options. There are people who want to see Daybreak and Nightfall decks together. I don't know if that'll even be a thing, if it'll make sense, and if it'll be any good. But I'm not gonna say it's not gonna be right. I have to try something like that out to see if it actually flows, right? Because on paper it's not really completely irrational, right? But I'm more excited about the full-on Nightfall builds. And I can definitely see Diana making a strong impact in the meta alongside Nocturne and Shadow Owls, and maybe some other potential combinations as well. But that's basically where I'm going to leave this. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for daily Legends of Runeterra content. Hope you're excited for Diana. And I guess we have one more champion to witness. I'm going to go ahead and predict it's going to be Aurelion Sol. I know a lot of you think that way as well, and we'll see if that's true or not. So have a solid day. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for daily Legend of Runeterra content as I repeat my outro twice for some weird reason. I'll see you guys tomorrow.